All right, everyone, it's 10:05, so we're going to go ahead and get started. First off, let me introduce myself. My name is Hank Oliver. I'm the Director for Global Advancement here at WVU. And in my role, I work with a lot of different pieces of our international team. I help with recruitment, I help with student services, I help with alumni after they graduate, I help with our team in education abroad. I know a lot of our folks here are exchange students, and we're so excited to have you joining us at WVU this semester, or some of you are even going to be here longer for a year. So we're really excited to have you. A little bit about how today is going to go. I'm going to talk to you a little bit about life here at WVU, and I'm also going to talk to you a little bit about COVID guidelines and answer hopefully some of the questions that you have. So I know that there's a lot of confusion around this, and that's because it's a confusing process. And the reason that it's confusing is because it's a constantly evolving situation. As we see every day in the news, the COVID situation is evolving. We have the new Delta variant that is becoming more common. So it's more important than ever that we all are on the same page with these protocols and follow all the procedures and guidelines to make sure that not only we are safe, but our entire campus community and the Morgantown community is safe as well. So a couple housekeeping things to reiterate. One, I'm going to ask that everyone keep your microphones on mute throughout the duration. The reason we're going to do that is because we are going to be delivering presentations, and we just any additional noise will cause some confusion. We understand that you will probably have questions, and we hope you do have questions, and we want to answer those. So I'm going to ask that you put those in the chat box, and at the end or during the presentation, we'll be sure and get those answered for you, or give you a way to contact the person who can answer it best for you if they're not a part of this Zoom call at the moment. Another little housekeeping note: this is being recorded. It's really impossible to find a time that works for everyone to have an orientation. So we do record this because I know a lot of people are in graduate assistant orientations as well. So we want to be sure that everyone has an opportunity to see this. So it is being recorded. So if you have any questions, again, please ask them, because it may be a question that a peer who's not here doesn't have the chance to ask. So we want to go ahead and do that. So again, my name is Hank Oliver. I am really proud to be able to welcome you all to Morgantown and welcome you to the WVU community. This is New International Student Orientation. So after I speak, one of my good colleagues, Andy Patrick, is going to talk to you about a lot of the policies and procedures and about being an international student, and make sure that we cover all those, and also introduce his office to you. And his office is going to be a really central resource for you all during your time here, whether it be questions about your status as an international student, or whether it be if you have questions about work, or you have OPT, CPT questions. Andy and his team are the folks who will be able to answer all of those questions for you. Joining me also today, we have Cindy Teets and Tina Takix, who work in our run our sponsored student services team. They are absolutely fantastic people, and all of our sponsored students are going to get to know them incredibly well. So they're here to help answer any questions you have, as well as we have a lot of folks from our education abroad team. We have Vanessa Yurkovich, Amanda Morgan, Brian Ricketts, Shelby Concepcion, and I think Megan Ramirez is here as well. So all of our folks are here to help answer those questions for you. And yeah, so let's go ahead and get started. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to share my screen with you all. Share screen. So I hope you all can see this. So this is WVU's Return to Campus website. So again, I'm going to talk to you a little bit about some COVID guidelines and hopefully answer some of the questions that you may have around this. So what we have here is the international travel guidance. We understand that most of you will be traveling to Morgantown from somewhere outside of the United States. So there's a couple policies we want to go over. The first one is for vaccinated individuals. Vaccinated individuals are not required to do a quarantine on the WVU campus after their arrival from outside the United States. Now, but here's the trick. What we consider to be a vaccinated individual is someone who has received a vaccine after the second dose of their vaccine, if it is a 2-vaccine series. 2 weeks after that second shot is when we consider you to be fully vaccinated. Now, the other piece is that there are only certain vaccines that WVU considers and accepts. And these are vaccines that coincide with the Center for Disease Control and the Food and Drug Administration's proposed list and their emergency use authorizations. And those are the Pfizer-BioNTech vaccine, the Moderna vaccine, The Johnson & Johnson vaccine, which is a 1 dose, so 2 weeks after that 1 dose, we consider you to be fully vaccinated, as well as WVU does consider and accept the AstraZeneca vaccine. The AstraZeneca Oxford vaccine is one that we do accept. And I know that there's been some confusion around that. And that's because this is, as I've said, an evolving situation. And we are now accepting that vaccine. And we believe that it has the appropriate efficacy to be considered useful for our purposes. So now I also understand that a lot of people have not been able to be vaccinated, which is totally okay. So I have good news about that. One is, welcome to the United States. It is incredibly easy to get a COVID-19 vaccine here. You can get a COVID-19 vaccine at most Kroger's, CVS, Walgreens, Walmart, Target, most store, Giant Eagle, most stores you go to, box stores or grocery stores who have a pharmacy are going to be able to administer a COVID-19 vaccine to you. And we're happy to do that. And that is brought to you at no cost, courtesy of the American people. And we really hope that you take advantage of that opportunity. You should have received an email from me yesterday, me and my team yesterday. And at the bottom of that, it has a little search function that you can use that will help you find the nearest vaccine location. So if you have any questions about it, or you're just not sure where to go, you can check out that, and it's going to tell you every store in our area that is offering the vaccine and whether or not they have it in stock at that time. It also, I believe, will tell you which vaccines they have in stock. There are some pop-up clinics, I believe, today and tomorrow. Now, again, if you are an unvaccinated individual, we cannot unfortunately ask that you go to those, because those are WVU sanctioned events, and your quarantine extends to that. And I'm sorry, you're going to hear my dog barking a little bit. The mailman is coming. This is her daily routine. So if you are an unvaccinated individual, we do ask that you will be required to do a 7 calendar day quarantine after your travel. Now, what that means is that we ask that for 7 calendar days, you minimize at all costs your exposure to different parts of the WVU campus. We ask that if you're staying in a residence hall, that you confine your travel and your space to that area. Now, this isn't a quarantine that extends, we're not saying you can't leave your residence hall at all. This does only qualify to the WVU campus, but we do ask that you be really courteous of the Morgantown community, being that, travel, as we know, is a heightened COVID transmission and exposure risk. So we just ask that you be really courteous, wear your face masks, and minimize your exposure to the outside community. Now, on that note, until an individual is considered fully vaccinated on the WVU campus, that individual is expected to wear a face mask at all times. Even when you're outside, we really encourage you to wear a face mask, but absolutely indoors, you must wear that facial covering until you are considered fully vaccinated. Again, also in yesterday's email, there were instructions on how you can submit and verify your vaccine information if you've already had your vaccine, or what you'll do once you receive that vaccine. So I hope that answers a lot of the questions that people have been having with vaccines. I'm going to go ahead and stop sharing my screen. I don't see any questions in the chat box about this, which I'm going to take to mean that I did such an amazing and thorough job that no one has any questions. And so we do have one question. Okay. We'll go ahead and answer the COVID question now. And then Andy, you're going to be up next. So just your warning. We're going to wait a second to see if we can type this out. So the question is, if you have a second shot that is due in a few days' time, do you need to go ahead and submit a COVID test result? And the answer to that is yes. Unless you're considered fully vaccinated, which is 2 weeks after that second shot, you have to proceed as otherwise with the COVID vaccine. So that's actually a great point. And I think that's something I did miss, is WVU requires unvaccinated individuals to submit a negative COVID test so before they can, engage with the campus. Now, for international folks who are coming from overseas, you guys have your 7-day quarantine window. So you have your 7-day quarantine. After that, you need to go get a COVID test, the specifics of which I sent in an email yesterday, the type of test that is, and submit it to one of the locations that WVU is accepting those. Even if you're within that window, you still need to do that. And even if you received your second shot, you do have to wait the 2 weeks. You are not considered fully vaccinated until 2 weeks after the second shot. So that is 2 calendar weeks, 14 days. Oh, sorry. My throat. I'm not used to talking this much. I've really missed it. All right. So I think that's going to wrap that up. If anyone has any COVID questions that come up, please go ahead and keep those in the chat box. We'll answer those at the end, but I am going to take this opportunity to turn it over to my colleague and friend, Andy Patrick, who's going to talk to you about his folks and his team in International Students and Scholar Services.
Thanks, Hank. Really excited to welcome all of you to campus. And I know the ones that may watch this recording as well later, I'm excited to welcome you as well. I see a lot of names on here that either interacted with your documents or questions over the past several months, and especially during COVID. You know, we've been through a long journey, all of us together, especially all of you to get here. And I'm really excited to welcome you to Morgantown, a place that I call home and a place that I love. And hopefully today I can explain to you a little bit about our services that we offer, some of the rules and regulations you have to be aware of, and also some of the opportunities and resources on campus that you may have. As Hank mentioned, my name is Andrew Patrick. You'll see that, but you guys can call me Andy. I'm the Associate Director for our Student Services, and I help oversee a lot of the resources and requests that you'll make during your time here as well. So if you do need anything, feel free to reach out to our office, and I'll explain a little bit more how to do that. But I'm going to share my screen here and pull up the presentation and go over a few things for you. Okay, so you all should be able to see the screen here. And Hank or someone else, if there's any technical difficulties, just let me know if there's any problem.
Looks good on my end.
Awesome. Okay. Well, if that's the case, if everything's good, as we say at WVU, let's go. So let's talk a little bit about our services within the Office of Global Affairs. So first, I want to acknowledge, you know, this is exciting for you. You're here in the United States. You are going to experience a whole new culture. You're going to experience whole new friends, foods, experiences, activities. Many of us in our office have studied abroad outside of the US, and we've had these experiences, and we know that we want you to have an exciting and rewarding time when you're here on campus. West Virginia is a state that I love. It's a small state, it's a humble state, it's beautiful. We say it's wild, it's wonderful, it's almost heaven. And it really is. If you step back, at first, you may see West Virginia as not as exciting as New York City or LA. However, there is a lot to be explored, and there's a lot to be seen hidden all over West Virginia. And hopefully you take advantage of that. And I'm really excited for you guys to experience all the great state has to offer. So you're here for those experiences. You're here for a great education. However, I do want to acknowledge something else too, that being an international student can be tough, okay? There are a lot of new rules that you have to follow. There's a lot of documents that you have to keep track of. You're going to have questions. Where do I go for this or that? Every country, every place has different rules and how they do things. We call this the bureaucracy of things. If you look at this picture here, this is to help you realize that we also know that immigration law in the United States is incredibly difficult and frustrating. Why we do that to ourselves, I don't know. But this is a roadmap to find your green card here in the United States. So you can imagine if things are as difficult to find a green card, things as simple as becoming an F1, J1 student, one of the more simpler processes, is still pretty complicated. A lot of the things that we'll help you out with, we may need to research. We may need to take time on, and there's always unique circumstances that do come up, and you may find yourself in that unique circumstance. And that's why our office is there to help you research what you need to do to be successful. So talking about the things that you need to do and keep track of, I'm giving you a first task right now. So as an international student, you have your first homework assignment, your first assignment at WVU. Regulations require that you must complete SEVIS check-in, okay? You may have received information about this already or a link. All students, whether you're a J1 or F1 student, must complete SEVIS check-in. So the easiest way to do so is to navigate to our website. And I'll have this website up again for you later on, but iSSS.wvu.edu. Our navigation bar at the top, and I'll show you a picture of that here soon. You'll have a request bar, an option. It'll drop down, click on it, and you're going to go to our request page, and everything's in alphabetical order. If you go down to the S, you'll see SEVIS check-in. Click on that, and it'll get you started. It is required that you complete this within 30 days of your arrival into the US. So once you have the documents that you need, everything, you're settled in, you're feeling good, please be sure to complete this as soon as possible at your next opportunity. Now, I mentioned you're going to need some documents, you're going to need some things with you while you complete this. So let's go over some of that right now. So I'm going to give you an immigration documents crash course. Okay, these are things you most likely will need when you complete the SEVIS check-in, and that's a good time to really not only just rush through SEVIS check-in. Don't do that. Take your time, look at your documents, do some of the things that I recommend today when you start looking at these. The first document I want to mention is your passport. I think that's the one that's the easiest one. Everyone recognizes. They look different, issued from different countries. That's going to be important that you keep on you at all times. If your passport is expiring, please reach out to your embassy to renew it. The time to renew your passport isn't right before it expires. So it may be a good idea to place somewhere so you know it while you're in the United States, know when your passport expires. Most of them are good for a fairly long time. However, if you have a passport expiring very soon, we are required to let you know that you're required to have a valid passport while you're in the US. So please make sure that you have that renewed at your next available opportunity if it's going to expire soon. Now, we do realize with COVID, there are difficulties renewing your passport. Unfortunately, we cannot assist in contacting an embassy and expediting a request. However, if you do have questions, we still want to encourage you to reach out. We can research for you at least validate what the embassy is telling you or address some of your concerns. So make sure you have your passport with you, and you'll need to upload a copy of your bio passport page with your SEVIS check-in. I-901 SEVIS fee receipt. So in order to maintain your SEVIS record, and SEVIS is the system that maintains your immigration record, you need to make sure that you pay the fee. This goes towards processing, and the government uses it. It's very important that you have paid the SEVIS fee. If you have any questions about that, we do have information on our website about how to make that payment. But it's always good to keep this document with you at all times, especially when you are traveling and re-entering into the United States. The SEVIS fee receipt is not required for SEVIS check-in, but it's good that you keep it with all your documents. Your visa, also known as a visa foil. Now, a lot of people confuse your passport bio page and your visa foil because it looks very similar. So your visa foil within your passport, the really important date is the expiration date on that visa foil. The expiration date, if your visa does expire while you're in the US, you may remain in the US, okay, on an expired visa. However, you cannot remain in the US on an expired I-20, which I will talk about here soon. So don't panic if you notice that your visa is expired. However, you cannot leave the US on an expired visa and return without renewing it. So that's really important. You have to renew it outside of the US if it's expired. We have individual students that have stayed here a very long time on an expired visa, as long as they're maintaining their I-20. And we're helping them with that, they are fine. But the moment that you leave the US on an expired visa, you're going to have to renew it outside of the country. We discourage third-party countries because that can be difficult to renew them in. So oftentimes we do encourage you to renew them in your home country. But if you have questions about anything about a visa, let me know, let our office know, and we'll certainly help. You'll need the visa for SEVIS check-in as well. So we would like a copy of the visa foil so we can look at your expiration date and advise appropriately if needed. The I-94, this is also known as your entry record. It looks something like this. You can go to the DHS website, which is there. Oftentimes I tell students, just Google DHS I-94, and you'll see an option of the top that says retrieve your I-94. you really just need your passport at this point in time to put in your name, your birth date, your passport number, and you should see a document in a PDF that you can upload to CVIS check-in that looks like this. Now, CVIS check-in will have a question for you about does our office, do you give us permission to access your I-94 if needed? I highly recommend and encourage you to put yes. The reason being, we have to ask you if we have your permission to access your travel record. We oftentimes need this to determine any complicated visa issues or complicated matters. It's a piece of information that's important to us. However, you're welcome to say no, but I highly encourage you to say yes, because we are really just using it to help you as an office that's here for your benefit. So please make sure you access this and upload it to your CVIS record if you can. And last but not least, the other and most important documents that you need is either your I-20 or DS 2019, and they look something like this. This is going to have a lot of information that you use to start your onboarding. This is the one document you should be aware of at all times. If you lost it, misplaced it, please contact us right away so we can issue you a new one. But as you're reviewing this document, I encourage you to do two things. Commit to memory your program end date. Make sure you know when the program's ending, because as I mentioned, you can stay in the US on an expired visa. However, once your program end date has passed, you only have a certain number of grace period days to stay in the US, 60 days for an F1 student. And I believe J1 is a little different, but please reach out to us if you have any questions. Once that grace period has ended, you will not be able to remain in the US. You will be out of status. So within that grace period, you have time to do some things, either to change level, to transfer, to apply for work benefits. However, after the program end date passes, we won't be able to extend that program end date. So if you notice that program end date is approaching, maybe your last semester, or you think you're going to need more time to complete your degree, please reach out to our office for advice about what to do. And the time to reach out is not a few days before it expires. We have students who do that, and it is incredibly difficult to help in that situation. So please make sure you're aware of your program end date. And if you do not think you're going to complete your program by that time, please reach out to us. But we will need a copy of the front page of your I-20 as well with CVIS check-in. So please make sure that you upload that. And when you're uploading these, if you have a scanned copy on your computer, that's great. But you can also take a picture and upload a JPEG. That's fine as well. We really utilize it just to access information and help us in advising you. So that crash course is over, but if you do have questions, please reach out. And how do you reach out? This is our building where International Students and Scholar Services is located. This is the Puritan House. This was the original president's house on campus. It's very old, over 100 years old, I believe, and it's a historical landmark within West Virginia. It's a very old building. We love it. It has a lot of character. However, we are still working remotely and have made a transition to more virtual services. As COVID has reminded us, we can all do some work at home from time to time. So you may not see the level of staff in the building that we normally once had, but I assure you we're still there and we're in and out of the building as needed. So our services through Zoom, through email, through phone calls have increased. The ability to just walk in at any time, although that is nice, it has decreased some. However, we have upgraded our services in other areas in order to make sure that you are served remotely. We will have at least one individual from our unit in there as well for any emergency issues or urgent issues to help provide advice. However, if you do walk in, we will have only a front desk staff person available to help with general questions, document pickup, or info about services. These typically are student workers that have been trained to understand the basics of F1 and J1 immigration process. However, they're not qualified to provide or give absolute advice. So a lot of the advice that they'll give you is how to place a request, where to go for services, direct your question to the appropriate person. They're really like what we call a traffic cop. Okay, they're directing the traffic where to go, what to do, and they'll provide you with that information. So if there is something more complicated, Please understand that our student advisors aren't qualified to provide absolute immigration advice because we don't want any advice coming from anyone outside of professional. However, they may ask you to make an appointment with one of our advisors or email us so we can thoroughly research your issue. And please note, when you do have a question, we do not like to give a lot of absolute advice face-to-face until we actually have your CVIS record in front of us on a computer and we can see the complete picture. So we don't want to assume anything. So if we're not able to answer your question right away, we oftentimes encourage you to send an email or let us know a little bit about the issue so we can thoroughly research this. We do this because we care. We want to make sure that you have all the information available to you and the right information as well. So please be patient with us. If you do walk in and you need something that we can't answer right away, we promise you we will get to it and make sure that it's researched. As I mentioned, the best way to receive advice from our staff or a DSO, a designated school officer, or alternate responsible officer, ARO, is to reach out by email. The first email there is our students account. So as an F1 student or a J1 student, if you have a question about your I-20 or DS 2019, please reach out to that email. We also have a scholars unit that handles visa issues relating to H-1Bs or work-based visas or J1 scholars. We have an email account there. Our sponsor students through Cindy and Tina have an email as well. And our Global Affairs Administration with Hank and others also monitor the other email. And don't worry if you email the wrong individual, we will make sure it's routed to the appropriate office at this point. I do want to mention, and this is oftentimes a point of contention, that other universities do provide phone advising where you can call in and someone is there to thoroughly answer your question. We don't have the ability to do that at this time. However, we can provide general answers to questions or who you need to reach out to or direct your question to the appropriate person if you do call. I know if you call other places on campus, like the Mountaineer Hub, they do have a staff of individuals that will sit with you on the phone and answer your question. We don't feel comfortable phone advising like that because of the complicated issues that do arise. So we need to take time to step back, research your record, and then oftentimes our advisors will follow up with you with either a phone call, Zoom appointment, or an email to address your question. But feel free to call us if you do not know where to go or what to do, and we'll certainly help. Our staff at the desk will assist you. And so the best way we reach out to you if we do need something is through your mixed email. So check it daily. It's really important. The Office of Global Affairs and also my unit and other units, we don't send a lot of information unless it's absolutely pertinent to you. We don't want to get lost with all the emails that you get. But if you do receive something from our office, it's really, really important that you take time to read and understand the email or follow up with us. Our office has a partnership with you, and you must do your part as well with us. It works both ways. Our part is to give you information, and please make note of this as well, that you're responsible for these things, communicating with us your concerns. One thing that I want to encourage students is that when you do send an email to us or communicate to us, please be as thorough as possible. I know we have busy lives, and I know there's a lot of things going on campus. Oftentimes, it'll take longer to solve your request if you're sending an email like it's a text message, like, hey, check on this, or check on my I-20. Please start the email with the context of the issue or the problem. Give us as much information as you can, and we'll certainly be able to research that a lot quicker if we thoroughly understand what the problem is. So please take time with communicating your concerns to us through email. Ask questions of us. If you're not sure, please ask. Don't rely on asking questions of your friends or other people that have gone through the student advising process before, because rules and regulations change every day. And what is true for one person sometimes is not true for another person. So please ask questions of us, not just the people that are around you in your core group, friends and family. We are the professionals. We are responsible for having the right answers. So it's important that you get advice from us, not just your friends, family, but also your department. They may have an idea of what you need to know, but the best people to reach out to is us for your questions. Take an active part for understanding how to maintain your visa status in the US as well. Oftentimes students will tell us a couple things. They will let us know, like, I didn't know this, or I'm not sure of what to do, so that's why I didn't do anything. That will not go a long way. I want to make sure that you understand that you must know how to maintain your visa status from the US. We will have resources available for you to help you understand that. On the back of your DS 2019 or I-20 is a lot of helpful information that you can use to understand how to maintain your status. Our website has that information as well. So please take an active part in that and in this partnership that we have with you. And please make requests in a timely manner as well. The time to make requests is usually about 3 weeks before something is due. It's the minimum amount of time that we require. So about 15 business days. And we do work diligently to process requests a lot sooner than 15 business days, but we receive a substantial amount of requests. We work with hundreds and hundreds of requests a day, and oftentimes we work with them in the order that they were received. Now, if you believe that something is urgent, and I know a lot of concerns are urgent for the individual, we will assess that for you and make sure we take that into consideration. But the earlier you place a request with us, the better it'll be overall for you as well. So please make sure that you're doing that and checking up and understanding what you need to do as quickly as possible. So I know that's a lot. I know there's a lot of expectations on you as an international student, and it certainly is tough. You can leave a lot of understanding the rules and regulations to us. However, please understand some basic things. And what question we ask of students, oftentimes they say, well, what do I need to know? Like, what's the basic stuff? Where do I start? Just know this, you'll know to seek out help if you remember why you chose to come to the States and study at WVU. So think about this for a second. Why did you come to the States? The answer is to earn a degree in the time that you're given and to study full time. That's it. If you remember that statement, you're going to be okay. All right. Now, ask for help when anything prevents you from studying full time, taking in-person courses. During COVID regulations right now, you're only required to have one in-person course, but that may change. So it's really important that you keep track of the in-person courses that you do have. One right now is fine for how as many credits as needed. One is fine, but you still need to be full-time, and regulations may change as COVID evolves. You may need to switch another semester and be enrolled in mostly in-person courses. So those are types of things that you need to be aware of as regulations change or as your schedule changes. If you're not going to be full-time or you're not going to be taking in-person courses, it's probably a good time for you to reach out and ask questions of us. The other thing is, if you're not going to complete your degree in the time that you are given, that's another time to reach out to us as well. So we can certainly advise with that. Or if your program is ending, we can help with that as well. Remember, your main reason to come to the United States is to study full-time. And if you can't do that, please reach out. That's the number one rule. Full-time is good, in-person studies good, not full-time, not in-person studies cannot be so good. So don't drop below full-time. Don't get out of your in-person studies without speaking to someone in our office first. Oftentimes, students will rely on their academic advisor for information. Don't just rely on your academic advisor. Please check with an international student advisor before you drop below full-time, before you're out of in-person courses. Oftentimes, it may be too late if you took action before speaking to us. So where do you go to get more information? So this is our webpage right here. Example, you can go under students and look at F1 and J1 students. Right underneath that circle, you'll see student employment. A lot of you are wondering, how can I get employment on campus? That webpage is going to help you understand that. International students can work 20 hours maximum on campus. You cannot work off campus without authorization, so please check with us. But that F1 student, J1 student page will have a lot of the information you need to understand the requests that you'll need to make. I highly suggest you take 5 or 10 minutes out of your day to read those pages, whichever one applies to you. And also, if you're interested in employment, to take another 5 minutes to read the student employment page. So once you're familiar with that, on the top of the page, you'll see the request. This is what I mentioned before about SEVIS check-in. It can be found here under requests, and you'll see the requests listed in alphabetical order. So first, learn a little bit about some of the things you may be requesting in your time here, and then visit the request page to see where you can click on and request that. With the request, it's really important that you understand and complete all the directions in the request. Students will sometimes rush through the request, missteps, and it can cause delays in processing. It's really important you don't start a request until you know for sure if you're going to need that request. We have students sometimes click on the button, put a request in. We're not sure what's going on with the student. We can't, reach out all the time to find out, and that request will sit there. And then the student will sometimes come back to it later. However, we do encourage you to make sure that you're ready to place the request before you do. And if you're unsure, you can certainly email us and ask as well. If the request requires you to upload documents, please do so in a very timely manner. That will delay processing. We don't process requests until we receive a completed request. So that means we look at it and make sure that all the directions were followed. If you need a recommendation from an advisor, we will start processing from the date that document is received, if that's the last document. If you need to upload financial documents, that's the documents that we're waiting for. It is your responsibility to make sure that you have the documents, or reach out to us to ask, do I have all the documents that I need? Am I able to proceed? So please email us if you're not sure. Please make sure you follow all directions and requests. Under the request page as well is a link to make an appointment with an advisor virtually. Oftentimes these appointments can be done through email. Students sometimes don't realize they don't need an appointment. Our time is very thin helping a lot of students, and your time as a student is very valuable as well. So our advisors will say, look, we don't need a half an hour to talk. This is actually a really simple thing. Here's an email to you, and I'm canceling our appointment. But if you have any follow-up questions, let's handle them through email. But other times they may say, this is really complicated. Let's arrange a phone call so I can get some more information. Or let me make sure that I arrange a Zoom appointment so we can talk in person. So when you request an appointment, please wait for an advisor to follow up with you to let you know the needs for that appointment as well. And I promise you they will take every request and every advising request as serious as possible to make sure they get back to you. And that's why it's really important to check your email. That's their main form of communication. This is what the inside of our office looks like when you walk in. We have a main desk. We'll have a student worker there or staff there be able to welcome you and assist you. We are practicing safe social distancing. We do encourage masks if you're unvaccinated in the building as well. So please make sure that you are coming in. We don't allow more than 4 individuals in the lobby at one time to make sure that everyone's safe. So you may be asked to either wait in the foyer when you come in or maybe directed to another spot of the office. However, you're always welcome to stop in if you just have a quick question or need to pick up a document. Some examples of our services that we offer: social security letters. I mentioned employment. You'll need a social security letter in order to make an appointment with the SSA office. Unfortunately, at this time, I know there's a lot of questions from international students about how to expedite an appointment at the SSA office. We unfortunately cannot help. They're a separate government agency that makes their own policy, and it's really frustrating, and I've reached out numerous times to them. However, they are delaying things based on COVID. They're trying to make appointments as soon as possible, but we cannot help with any expediting of appointments. So please reach out to your department or hiring supervisor if there's any delays with your Social Security letter request. We try to complete those within 5 days, and once you get them, those letters, you can make an appointment at the SSA office. Good standing letters. If you want to get a driver's license, you're going to need a good standing letter. F1 students, those letters are good for 20 days. J1 students, they're good for about 30 days. So we recommend you don't place a request unless you're absolutely for sure you know when your appointment is and it's within 20 or 30 days based on your visa category. So we help with those good standing letters, and those are given to you electronically. So we can sign those electronically and just email those out to you. If you're departing the country, you're traveling and you need a travel signature to return, we can do that as well. We can do that remotely. So we have a travel signature request. You do not need it for exit out of the US. You do need it upon return. For an F1 student and a J1 student, those signatures are good for valid for a year. However, we like to check up on your record. So we do encourage, if it is more than 6 months old, that you actually place a request with us so we can just do a once over on your record before you leave the US and come back. If you're on a work-based program like OPT or CPT, CPT still needs, they're valid for 6 months, or I'm sorry, they're valid for a year. However, if you're on OPT, they're only valid for 6 months. But again, that's more later when you graduate. So just make sure you check with us if you're leaving the US and if you need a travel signature. If you need to replace an I-20, we can do that as well. Oftentimes for payroll processing, you're going to need an original I-20 with an ink signature. You can replace a request with us on our website. You can update your address or other information. US regulations require that you update your address within 10 days of the change. So if you're staying with a friend right now, or you're staying in a hotel room, update your address. You need to do it when you enter the US, and then send us an update anytime you move. Anytime you have a US physical location that changes, please update your address. It is a US regulation that you do that. Reduce course load. There are just several reasons why you can reduce your course load from a full-time. I mentioned that you have to be full-time. However, we have to research this and see if you're qualified for it. Do not drop below full-time or place a reduced course load request and thinking, oh, I placed the request, I'm authorized. You're not authorized until our office gives you confirmation that you're authorized. You must stay enrolled full-time at all times until we tell you that you're authorized. You could be authorized for initial academic difficulties or improper placement in your program. Say there's a medical reason that requires you to drop below full-time. We'll need the assistance of your medical provider in order to assess this. And oftentimes only certain medical providers can provide us with information. So check with us if you have a medical issue and you need to drop below full-time, but you must maintain full-time until it's authorized. We try to authorize these quickly once we have all the paperwork required. And oftentimes these reduced course load requests, if you know that you're going to drop below full-time for any reason prior to a semester, please place them before the semester starts. One such reason is if it's your last semester and you only need 3 credits or you only need 4 credits, we can authorize it for reduced course load in your last semester, but please reach out to us prior and place that request. And if you need to extend your program, we just need a compelling academic reason by your department or your academic advisor as to why you're extending your program. We still reserve the right to ask for financial information or proof for the duration of your extension. However, if you have a history of no other history of any problems with payment or anything like that, your record looks clean, we may not ask for that documentation. We may just have you attest to the fact that you do have the financial ability to maintain an extra semester or a year within the US, but you can extend your program with us. And as I mentioned before, know your program end date. So you can let us know as it's approaching and place that request with us. A couple other things to remember: you are responsible for maintaining your visa status and knowing the rules and regulations. Okay, read the last page or back of your I-20 or DS 2019. That's very, very important. Take an active role in maintaining your status and communicate with us your needs. Make requests early. And we do require at least 15 business days to process most requests. But during peak seasons, 15 business days is pretty much the rule. There are times when it's a little bit slower. It may be ready sooner. So just be patient with us after you place a request. And if you have concerns, just email us and let us know. So a couple other things our office can do. I'm also an international student advocate for you. I can help direct support. Think of me as a compass on campus. So if you're not sure where to go, I can point you in the right direction or help coordinate support for you. We do have a care team here on campus for special issues that do come up, that do arise, any personal issues. We have the Mountaineer Hub that helps with financial issues. We have the Office of Student Conduct. If you are notified by the Office of Student Conduct, please reach out to me. The letters are sometimes filled with a lot of information based off of the student handbook that can be confusing. So if our Office of Student Conduct reaches out to you for any reason, if they're investigating a matter or want to ask any questions, it's really important that you follow up with them right away. And if you need somebody to help you with that, or you're nervous about how to talk with someone in the office, please email us and ask for my assistance. I am happy to help. The Cruise Center on campus is also a great place, resource for individual and group counseling services. If you need someone to talk to, feeling stressed, they have great programs to help alleviate that and walk you through how to assist. And we also have a campus and community engagement, a lot of programs on campus that you can join, a lot of groups to get involved as well. And I'm going to highlight some of those for you as we go through. I mentioned our W Office of Campus and Community Life. This is where our care team is located. It's in the building in Emore Hall, right next to our office. It may look a little different from this picture because they just removed a lot of those bushes, but the building still remains. You can walk in and get assistance if you're having a personal issue that is not really a immigration issue per se, but I always encourage you to talk to me and I can get in contact with someone from the care team. They also help with off-campus housing issues. So if you have a problem with your lease or your landlord, they can assist as well. And the student judicial, if you need a lawyer, ask for advice on what to do, there is university assistance for that and they can help you. Student health, if you're sick, if you need to see a doctor, student health is located on our Evansdale campus. Please note that there is a student health clinic available to you. And certainly if you're not sure where to go for that, you can reach out and we can give you information. The rack is available. It's a program that has perishable and non-perishable food items, as well as school supplies for students in need. So if you're needing a little additional help or getting started here at WVU, please reach out to the rack and they'll let you know their hours and where you can come pick up some information. Well WVU, this is a program that helps boost complete health and well-being of students. They have programs for yoga, meditation, also healthy living and lifestyles. So I highly encourage you to check out some of the programs that they offer because being a student is tough and you're going to need to take time away for yourself to make sure you take care of your mental health and make sure you take care of your physical health. I mentioned the Mountaineer Hub. If you have questions about finances, your student accounts, billing, the Mountaineer Hub will help. They're located on the Evansdale campus. If you ride our personal rapid transport, the PRT, over to Evansdale, you get off, you walk across the bridge. They're located on the second floor. Talk to them if you have any issues about billing. Also, the registrar is there as well. So transcripts, or if you have questions about adding or dropping classes, remember to check with us first, but they will help with any concerns with your transcript or registration. For academic matters, there is an academic resource center. Tutoring is free. They have virtual appointments, but they also started back in-person appointments. Most subjects are covered, so please make sure you utilize that. They meet at different locations across campus. If it's not virtually, it might be in the library or in our residential complexes. There are some tutoring centers. We also have an Eberly writing studio on the ground floor of Colson Hall, which is another building. If you're facing the Puritan House where our office is, off to the left is Colson Hall where the English department is, and on the ground floor is a writing studio. So I highly encourage you, if you're not a native English speaker and you want someone to check over a paper, offer you advice or improve upon your writing, whether it's just basic academic writing or if it's journal writing or any research writing, they're there to help you as well. So that is another resource, a great resource for you on campus. And I mentioned the Office of Student Conduct. They're not just reaching out, but they're also a resource for academic integrity issues. In the US, it's really important that you understand that copying somebody else's work or working with somebody in order to complete a project may not be appropriate. And our Office of Academic Integrity may reach out if they feel that you have violated the academic integrity policy of the university. If you Google Academic Integrity WVU, it'll take you to a webpage to help you fully understand the requirements, but oftentimes professors will have a syllabus outlining their academic integrity within the course. Please make sure that you follow that, and please make sure you're only completing your own work and you're not getting assistance from elsewhere unless a professor or someone else explicitly states that it's okay. They may say it's okay to work with a group, but it may not be okay to submit the same work together. Oftentimes our international students will find themselves contacted by Office of Academic Integrity because they misunderstand this policy. It's really important that you understand that academic integrity is something that the university takes seriously and that you are well educated within this policy as well. If you do have questions, please reach out to me and I'm happy to help. Other WVU services, I mentioned the Career Center. This is where the building where student health is located as well. So the clinic that I mentioned before, but our Career Center is also here. They do have individual counseling, group counseling, academic enhancement skills, learning skills, academic coaching, stress management, anything to do with maintaining a healthy mind and body can be found at the WVU Career Center. And I highly encourage you to reach out to them if needed. And then professional social opportunities. Academic advising is available within your department, but we also have a career service center that can help with polishing your resume, interviews. As you approach your end of your program, we have what's called optional practical training. Our office helps advise on that. So if you're looking for a job, career services may help And then we authorize you for that off-campus work after you graduate for additional training. But career services is great for these types of help, or in looking for on-campus jobs as well. I mentioned you can work 20 hours on campus. So going to the Career Service Center and looking into some of the opportunities that they have, and also checking out Handshake, which is our job search engine for on-campus jobs, is certainly helpful. If you have any questions about on-campus employment, please reach out to us, but Career Services can also assist. Student involvement in clubs is, if you go to studentengagement.wvu.edu, there are over 500, or at least close to 500 different clubs that you can join on campus. I really encourage you to join at least one or two and get involved on campus, start building your resume, and start building your social connections on campus as well. In your portal, in your mixed email, the portal is the main web page that you go to that has all the information at WVU. It's portal.wvu.edu. Your mixed email is really important. Stay informed. Make sure that you give timely responses to your academic advisors, your professors, and especially to our office as well. So if I can encourage you, don't ignore these things on campus. These are here to help you. The portal, the mixed email, please check that daily and make sure you're communicating regularly with individuals on campus. We also have services for safety and wellness. If you have a moment, please take time to visit safety.wvu.edu. It has all our safety resources on campus. Now, Morgantown is generally a safe place. We don't have a lot of crime, but there still is crime, and we do have to make sure that we all stay safe. WVU does have an alert system. I highly encourage you to go to alert.wvu.edu, where you can be alerted in case there's an emergency by text message, by email. We want to make sure everyone is safe. The University Police Department is also receptive to phone calls or any issues or any problems that you may have. They work very well with our office, and in partnership with the city police, they are here to help you as well. If you're having an issue or you feel like you need an authority outside of our office for any criminal behavior or anything that may happen that you feel unsafe, please make sure that you know that you can reach out to the University Police Department as well. We also have a diversity, equity, and inclusion office on campus. They have inclusive campus initiatives to help you stay more involved and welcome here on campus. And we work closely with some of the colleagues in that office as well. They also have a special page on their website for international students to help them feel more welcome and more involved. Another thing that I want to make sure that you're aware of, there are scams and phishing scams that happen through your email. Some people will try to reach out to get your data. It's really important that you report these to IT or check with IT if you're not sure of the validity of an email or if it's from a valid source. Please make sure that you don't click on any links that you're unfamiliar with or click on any attachments that you're unfamiliar with from individuals that you're not sure of that have access to any email. Sometimes they'll mask their email to make it look like it's from someone on campus. Or steal somebody's name and say that somebody's trying to reach out to you. If you're not sure, please ask and check with IT. Also, we've seen an uptick recently in calls and emails from individuals within government organizations such as USCIS, University Police, and they mask the phone calls or they mask the email to make it appear that they're a legit government official. One of the tells to know that this is not legit and they're scamming you is actual agencies will never call to warn you of a problem. They will oftentimes send a certified letter. They will either reach out to our department or they'll just show up at your door. So if you get a phone call from somebody claiming to be from a government agency such as the IRS, USCIS, and they are calling you to warn you of a serious problem that you're involved in, that's the first tell sign that this is probably not legit. The other tell sign is they will never demand money from you to fix an issue. So even if they seem legit, the moment they start demanding money from you is the moment that you should know that this is not legit. They will also scare you and say you cannot hang up the phone or talk to anybody at the university about this issue. That is false. You should hang up the phone and check with us. Even if it's a legit government agency, we will protect you and we will explain the situation as to why that you had to hang up. So the moment that they demand something from you, especially money, and ask you to not hang up or contact your university officials is the moment where you should hang up and immediately email us so we can keep you safe. And I'll certainly meet with you and talk with you through any issue, but do not give any personal information or information about any bank accounts if someone tries to scam you. It is rare, but it does happen, and we have seen an uptick in it, but you can always check with us. And as Hank mentioned at the beginning of the orientation, we do have a return to campus website. It's your back to campus guide for all things COVID related as well. Just remember, that's a lot of information, but you're not alone. We're here to help. We love our students. We're here. We work hard every day. Even though we're not physically present in the office as much as we would like to, or as much as we'd like to do face-to-face, behind the scenes, we are really working hard from morning till night and even after hours to assist with a lot of your needs. We offer advising when something comes between you and your ability to follow your dreams and get your degree. Please check with us if there's anything that comes up. We advise on employments. We're here for a long haul. So if you want to check in with us, any opportunities that may start to arise to remain in the US and work, we can help with those work authorizations after you graduate and see if you're eligible. If you have a sponsor, Cindy and Tina, that office is there for you. I couldn't think of two more wonderful people to assist our sponsor students in our office. And we offer program and activities all year long as well. We'll coordinate other campus offices and things that they need to make sure that you're not overlooked. If you feel like you're being overlooked or you feel like you were left out of something, you should be included, please reach out to us and we will make sure we coordinate that with the appropriate offices. And even when you forget the main reason why you're here in the US, that rule, we're here. If things happen, you miss a deadline, sometimes we have to deliver some bad news, but we'll walk you through it. We will help you. We will be there for you. Just remember, if we can help, we will help. And so it is my honor to welcome you home to your new home at WVU. And please remember my face if you can and reach out if you need anything, and I'll help coordinate any support that you may need. I'm going to turn it back over to Hank. Thank you all. I know that was long, but I appreciate your time and I wish you the best of luck here at WVU.
All right. Yeah. Thanks, Andy, for that great presentation. I know that was a lot of information to cover, and I know that you're not going to remember all that. And that's why we're going to make the recording available afterwards for everyone. And again, if you have any questions, go ahead and put those in the chat box, but we're going to go ahead and start to go over those. One of the first questions we got, I arrive on the 18th of August, so I have to move in right away. So can I go to class without completing a 7-day quarantine? Unfortunately for that, the answer is no. If you're arriving on the 18th of August, first off, that's the start date of classes. So we really would have encouraged you to arrive earlier than that. But we understand sometimes that there are visa constraints. So what I'm going to ask is that you email globalaffairs@mail.wvu.edu. And that way we can help work with your faculty and let them know what's going on. But yeah, you will still be subject to a 7-day quarantine restriction. That is a WVU policy, and you will not be able to go to classes until that is completed, unfortunately. Let's go to the next one. Let me mark that off. If you were missing, I am missing my second shot of Moderna. You mentioned that the quarantine only applies to WVU. Does that mean I can leave my residence hall to shop at Walmart? Yes, it actually does. So one, you will be able to get your second shot here. You just need to wait. I believe Moderna is 4 weeks after the first shot. You do just need to when you go to a pharmacy or a clinic or whatever you choose to go to get your second shot, let them know that it's your second shot and let them know where you got your first shot. As for shopping at Walmart, yes, you absolutely can. Now, with that, I do ask that you try and minimize it. We ask that you don't go every day, you don't go for extended periods of time, and please be sure and wear a facial covering. The Centers for Disease Control and Prevention do require and request that anyone in the United States who is not fully vaccinated to be wearing a facial covering, especially as the Delta variant is on the rise. I am moving into my dorm tomorrow. It is my understanding I need to submit a negative test prior to moving in. You just said submit after 7-day quarantine. When should I submit? So with this situation, you can go ahead and check into your residence hall because you will be subjected to a quarantine. They understand, and you're not going to be required to have that negative test at the time of check-in. You will need to do that after the 7-day quarantine period, but you don't need to worry about having that in advance for international students. They understand that the process is going to be a little trickier, so we have got that worked out. But again, if you run into any issues, just let us know via email. Again, that's globalaffairs@mail.wvu.edu. I have my first shot of AstraZeneca nearly a month ago in my home country. Can I take the second dose of Pfizer, or do I need to get a third dose of Pfizer to be fully vaccinated? I am not a medical professional. However, our understanding is that you can receive the second shot of any of the vaccines, of the 2-dose vaccines. Now, what I would recommend is that you contact our Office of Student Health when it's time to get that second shot, and let them know your situation and they'll advise you on it. From what we have been told, if you have one of the vaccines, you are able to get another vaccine of a different type and still seek full immunity. Or peak immunity. So, but again, we ask that you contact a medical professional at our student health team or through the pharmacy or clinic where you're getting your vaccine. Okay, hold on. I'm making sure we get all these questions ready. So, does my passport need to be valid for more than a year? I'm not 100% sure exactly what you mean by that, but I believe that, you know, your passport needs to be valid. Like, there's not a minimum requirement of what the duration is. Like, it's not like if you need 6 months or something like that, but we just do expect that you have a valid passport.
Yeah,
Right, Andy?
I'll add to that, Hank. So for onboarding to get your I-20 or DS 2019, it can't expire. If it was expiring within 6 months, that's what we would have a red flag. But if it's valid within 6 months of the time that you enter the US, you're okay. However, there is the rules, the laws, the regulations, and also best practices and encouragement. So this kind of falls under a regulation and a best practice that we are advised to tell students that you are required under regulation to have a valid passport while you remain in the US at all times. But there's really no timetable as to if it's approaching or it expires. We're not going to follow up. We're not going to like say, hey, it's expiring. Just make sure that if it's going to expire, that you reach out to your embassy about how to renew it. It's one of those regulations, but there's no minimum requirement, as Hank mentioned.
Right. Yes. Make sure your passport is valid at all times. And it's much easier to renew your passport while it is still valid than after it expires, at least in the United States. That's how it is for an American. You try and not let your passport expire. How can I get an advisor assigned to me? Well, you already have one assigned to you. All students have an advisor assigned to you. The best way to check that out is to go into your degree works, which you can access through the portal. If you go into portal, it's going to list your advisor name and then give you their contact information so you can get a hold of them there. And again, that's degree works, which you can access through portal.wvu.edu.
I think I'm going to jump in on that one too.
Okay.
So there's your academic advisor. We get this question a lot. There's your academic advisor, which Hank is referring to. Every student has an academic advisor, but there's also international student advisors. You're not going to be assigned an international student advisor. So we have multiple advisors within the office. So you won't have a personal advisor. Anyone within our office that's a DSO or ARO can assist. So the best way to reach out is with email or with an appointment with advisor, and then whoever is the most qualified or is able to help will assist you. So you might have multiple international student advisors during your time here that give advice.
Great. During the 7-day quarantine, can I go out for a vaccination? As long as it's not to a WVU facility, you are able to do so, though we do ask that you let the clinic know that you have been out of the country, you are just entering the country within a 7-day period of time. That may affect whether or not they choose to vaccinate you. The reason for that being is that it is very dangerous to receive the COVID vaccination if you currently have COVID. So they want to make sure that you don't have COVID, and that's the rationale behind the 7-day quarantine period. So again, it's very important that you just are very I'm sorry, we just got a different. Okay. So it's just very important that you follow that quarantine period and be very transparent with the people giving you your vaccine. Just let them know what the situation is. Do you recommend international students get a US phone number? Absolutely, 110% get a US phone number. It's going to be the best way for everyone to contact you. It's going to make your life a lot easier. To be quite frank, people in the US don't use WhatsApp a lot. We don't, most of our messaging is direct through US numbers, through text message or iMessage. So having that US number is going to help you. It's going to make your time here a lot more simple for you. Whether you just choose to get a SIM card or whether you choose to open up a line, there's a lot of different options you can pursue, but I would recommend speaking with a cell phone company. There's one on High Street. You can typically find them around. It's pretty easy.
And I do want to add to that our international student advisors, because we're doing a lot of appointments remotely, or oftentimes something's urgent, they're going to look into your record and see if you have a US phone number there. And that's a quick way to have a conversation with you rather than to send an email and wait. If you set up an appointment, they may ask you what's your US phone number so I can call you. So it's really important that when you do CVIS check-in or you do an update to your address or any information, that you provide us with that US phone number. It will make your life a lot easier, as Hank had mentioned.
Yes. All right. Do international students who don't work need to file taxes? And if we do, can your department help? So 2 points on this. One, the first being that if you don't work and you don't have income, then you don't need to file taxes. If you do need to file taxes, you'll receive a W-2 from whoever you would need to file your taxes through, at which point you would do that. Now, with that, our office does not provide tax advice. WVU's tax services does not provide tax advice for filing your taxes. Now, what we will do is we will give you some general information, and WVU has historically provided a preferential tax service online that you can use to file your taxes as an international student, because it is a little different. We will send that out around tax time if we choose to, if that's something we continue to provide, or provide some recommendations on that. But we are not tax advisors. That is not something that we can become involved in. That's just not what we do. So, but again, if you don't work and you don't have income, you don't have anything to file for your taxes. Am I allowed to go to the bookstore to purchase textbooks during quarantine? The answer to that is unfortunately no. You can purchase your textbooks online and you can have them ready, or they can be delivered or picked up afterwards, but you are not supposed to visit WVU facilities during the 7-day quarantine period. During quarantine, can contact the professors to get the lesson? Absolutely. If you're not able to attend classes, we really encourage you to reach out to the professors to let them know that you're in a quarantine because you came from overseas. If they have any issues with that or have any questions, don't hesitate to bring us in on that at globalaffairs@mail.wvu.edu, and we're happy to help you there. Do I need to quarantine in the campus or in another place? If you are staying on campus in a WVU residence hall, you can of course quarantine on campus. Again, that limits you to your residence hall. If you are doing so, we have provided you with a form where meals will be delivered to you, which is a requirement for students staying in a residence hall must have a meal plan. But you are not required to do it in another place if you're staying in a W residence hall. If you're staying off campus, of course, your quarantine should be off campus in your home. We still just ask that you honor the 7-day avoidance of the campus then. Do I still need to get a US driver's license if I have a license from another country? Yes. If you want to get a car here and drive here, you need to get a US driver's license. It is a little bit easier if you have a driver's license from another country, though. So you do have that going on.
I do want to mention too, as the DMV is another separate government office. So their processes are different. I would contact the DMV to see what you need. So Morgantown Department of Motor Vehicles, West Virginia Department of Motor Vehicles, their website. And if you need a good standing letter from us in order to go to the DMV, you can request that on our page.
Yeah. Okay. So unfortunately, if you can't make it by the 24th of August, or because if you're having issues with their visa, someone has a question about deferring to spring. That's very possible to do. So there's 2 pieces to that. The first one is going to be, you're going to need to defer your admission. So if you're a graduate student, you need to let your department know that you're going to need to defer. Then you're going to need to let the admissions office know. Then the last piece is you're going to need to let us know so that we can defer your I-20 and send you a new I-20 with updated entry dates, so that you can go and proceed that way. But it is totally doable. And again, if you have any questions about that, email isss/students@mail.wvu.edu. But the 3 people you need to let know are your department, admissions, and our ISSS team. Does WVU count the days or times that I sign into my dorm? I arrive at 7 p.m. Yes, we are keeping track. So please, if you arrived on the 11th, you should be good to go to classes on the 18th. How can I update my address? In part of Andy's presentation, he showed you on our isss.wvu.edu website, there is a section for requests. Updating your address is done on there, I believe. Yeah, so you can go and find address update there. But again, it is a federal requirement that we know your current domicile address. So we do ask that you keep that updated at all times.
And I want to add to that too. Oftentimes when you make other requests, we do have a step in there that asks you questions about like your current address, everything. Just fill in the information. It's just a double check for it. But if you need to update us at any time, there is a special request for that. Just go ahead and click on that. It needs to be updated within 10 days of any change. Don't panic if you didn't. Nothing's going to happen, but it's a regulation, not a law that you're going to break and get arrested for if you don't. Okay. But try to update it within 10 days of the change so we can keep everything good with the government and with our records. Okay.
Can I take an intensive English course to improve my English skills, and does WVU have one available? So yes, WVU has an intensive English program that we offer for students. Now, this is for program students who don't meet the English requirements to enter the university. And if you're here and not already in the intensive English program, I assume you do. Now, for students who are looking to continually improve their English whilst in their degree programs, we offer English as a second language ESL courses. And if you search the WVU course catalog for ESL, English as a second language, you can find those courses that you can register for. They tend to focus on research or writing or speaking. So yeah, you can definitely do that. This question, I have a social security number, J1 visa, DS 2019, and I want to start my payroll process by getting work authorization from ISSS, but was told that they are updating their systems. Is that done already? And can I email again with the request? Andy?
I got that one. Jacob, yeah, absolutely. We finished yesterday. It should be up on our website. When you go to the website, if you go to student employment, so students drop down menu, student employment, you will see payroll processing steps. Right under this payroll processing steps, we just added a link for you to click on that if you already have a social security card, you're a J1 visa holder, that you can start your payroll processing. So click on that link, start following steps. We are good to go. You might be one of the first, so congratulations.
Great. Should I update my address to my residence hall or keep it as my address with my home country? That needs to be updated to your residence hall address. So the address that we need is your current address where you are physically present and living in the United States. So definitely make that your residence hall address, and that's totally fine. We're totally used to seeing those. Not a big deal. Not a problem at all. All right. So we've gone a little bit over the time we would like, which is totally great. We had a lot of great questions and we're glad that you asked those. So again, I just want to recap for everyone a couple things. The first one being, if you have questions, be sure and just shoot us an email at globalaffairs@mail.wvu.edu or isss-students@mail.wvu.edu, and we'll make sure that question is answered or we get it to the person who can answer it. The second thing being, we know this is a ton of information. It's information overload. However, we will have the recording available. So if you have any specific questions or you just can't exactly remember what we said about something in a specific topic, you will be able to review the recording at a later time. We will probably not be able to send that out until early next week. But again, it will be made available and we'll be able to do that. So the address for payroll, I'm not exact. Yeah. So there, Andy put that in there. So that's in the chat. isss.wvu.edu/student/student-employment is where you can go for that. So again, we're going to go ahead and wrap it up. We really appreciate everyone's time. We really appreciate you joining us. So everyone, thank you and welcome to our Mountaineer family. We know we're going to have a great semester, and let's go Mountaineers.